Hello everyone, here we are at the DNC in Chicago. This is the first day, and right now we have the honor to have a guest from Maryland, and she is the Lieutenant Governor of Maryland, Aruna Miller. Aruna, welcome to our show.
Well, thank you so much, Cathy. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, we were just talking about how you came here at the age of 7. You were in a profession of engineering, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and now you are the lieutenant governor. So I think our audience would really like to hear how you make it here.
Of course, Cathy. So yes, I came here as an immigrant from India when I was 7 years old. And as you know, coming here as an immigrant, you're so grateful for the opportunities that have been offered to you and your family. So soon after I was done with the engineering, I decided that the best way I could give back to this country was by going into public service. So as an engineer, I worked in LA County Public Works for a brief period. And then love brought me out to Maryland because my college sweetheart was living in the Maryland area. And so I moved over there and spent 25 years as a transportation engineer working for local government.
Oh, I see. Yeah, and so what's the occasion or the moment that you decided to actually run for office?
So I didn't decide it so much. It's very serendipitous.
Okay.
So as you can imagine, coming here as an immigrant, furthermore, being in a technical background, this was never in my crystal ball to run for public office. But what happened to me was that in the year 2000, I became a citizen. And I remember going and voting and being in the polling booth, and it was such an emotional experience. I actually cried because I was like, I am now an American, I'm voting. And I came out of that booth and I thought I did everything I needed to. And my candidate ended up losing. And I thought, okay, I think I need to do more than just voting. So I called up the local Democratic Party and I said, I'd like to help. I don't know a thing about what you do, but what can I do? So I started to volunteer. And after about 4 years, people came up to me and they said, hey, there's an opening. We'd like you to run for the seat. I listened very politely and I said, well, thank you.
What kind of a seat it is?
This was a state delegate.
Okay.
So a state representative. And I said, thank you, but no thank you. And I hung up. And my husband was like, did you just hang up? And I said, yeah. He goes, why did you say no? I said, because I'm an engineer. I don't know the first thing about being an elected official. And someone like me has never been elected into this role. So the voters aren't going to vote for me. And my husband convinced me eventually to run. And I did. And I was wrong. The voters didn't judge me on what I look like. The voters elected me based on the policies, the shared values that I was running on.
Wow. So at that time, how did you know the policies, you would support or you would have, as a delegate, like a state delegate?
Well, first I learned from being a volunteer at the Democratic Party, right? And as you know, many immigrant communities, particularly Asian Americans, right? We come here and the last thing we want to do is conflict, anything conflict oriented. And everything about politics is conflict centered, right? Because you got to go knock on doors, convince people why they should vote for you. And they might slam the door in your face, say, don't come back here again. So I had to get over that fear. And by doing so, look, it took me many years, but I think I'm gradually getting over that fear. And really, at the end of the day, Cathy, the policies that we fight for, the things that we as families want for our children, for our grandchildren, good schools, a safe community where everybody feels included, inclusive, an environment that we're going to protect, wages that really reflect the skills and opportunities for everyone. So it's not that different when you think about what you want for your own family.
When the time that you win the seat, did you think you would advance in the political world at all?
Not at all, but I have to say the 8 years that I spent as a state delegate were the most profound years of my life up to that point, because it was this tremendous opportunity to create, access for others to hear the trials and tribulations that people share about themselves with you and how you can make their life a little bit easier. So I worked on a lot of policies, particularly things related to domestic abuse for women and children, and protecting the environment. Of course, my transportation background came into handy as well. But no, I really didn't think I was going to advance any further. And then there was an opportunity to run for United States Congress for the 6th District. And this time, rather than people asking me to run, I decided to run myself.
Oh.
I didn't prevail. I ended up not making it through the primary. But Cathy, what I say is that life is full of ups and downs, wins and losses, setbacks and comebacks. And it was a time to reflect. You really learn a lot when you don't win an election about who you are, who the people that believe in you are, and how can you make yourself better in the future. And so then there was this opportunity to run as a lieutenant governor with Governor Westmore in the state of Maryland. And wow, what a remarkable time it's been since then.
Yeah, so how do you think why you were chosen?
I think there's lots of reasons. Number one, the governor will always say that he didn't choose his lieutenant governor by checking off the boxes. Okay, she meets this criteria, this demographic, this geographical location. He wasn't looking for that. He was looking for truly someone that he can be a partner with, that reflected his values and the values of the people of Maryland. So I was, needless to say, honored when he asked me. Probably, I always say, most important yes I ever gave an answer to, besides my husband asking me to marry him, of course.
You are immigrant. A lot of our audience are immigrant. But one thing different is basically you grew up here. There's no language barriers, right? A lot of our audience do have language barriers. So, participate in the politics, in the elections. You even have more, kind of roadblocks. So, what kind of the best advices you would like to give to them?
Absolutely. Number one, I think when you see diverse candidates running for office, what happens is automatically the electoral net, you throw it a lot wider, because people from the immigrant communities and communities of color all of a sudden see someone that looks like them and they get engaged. They start to participate. They start to go out and vote and volunteer and learn the skills slowly about what it's like to run for office. They want to volunteer. And so I think that's a great way in which they can learn to get over this barrier. And language can be spoken in so many different ways. It doesn't need to be only in English per se. Language comes from your compassion and empathy that you exude when you meet people. Do the voters feel trust in you? That's a language that you're speaking. Do the voters, do they have comfort in you that you're going to deliver on the promises that you say you're going to? So again, when I first ran for office, I thought because of the way I looked, people weren't going to vote for me. And I was wrong. So never, ever discount the American voters. They will look beyond all that. And what you think is a negative to you is actually an asset to you. Look, in a world that tries to make you look like and talk like everyone else, the uniqueness that you bring is your greatest asset, and that includes your language.
Like you said, Asian Americans mostly they do not like conflicts.
They don't.
Right? Yeah, but nowadays it seems to be very polarized.
Yeah.
So I think for people who live longer here, the immigrants and the people who natively born and raised here, in the maybe 20 or even more long time ago, people are not like that. Like it's not as polarized, right? Yeah. So in this regard, what's your thought? Like, should it be in this way, or what can be done?
Polarization, I think we need to understand that people come from different lifestyles, different life experiences, and you're going to have a difference of opinion. Look, I've been married to my husband for 34 years, and he and I don't always agree on things, right? That's just the nature of being human, right? So you're going to have a difference of opinion. I think the important thing for us to do is lower that temperature. Sometimes you see in the media and social media and the newspapers that this person thinks A and this person thinks B and they hate each other. That's not the way the real world works. You can have a difference of opinion, you can agree to disagree, but it doesn't have to be that it's got to be such a close the door, I don't want to hear your opinion. Look, I spent most of my life in diverse, communities and ones that weren't. And I think at the end of the day, if you can talk to people about who they are, as well as yourself, we have a lot more in common than we do that is not in common with us. So I really believe the best of us is there. And it's what President Clinton once said, there's nothing wrong in America that can't be fixed with what's right in America. And what's right is America is a nation of diverse individuals that make up this country, right? Coming from all parts of the world with different languages, different ways they look, different life experiences that all come together, and it's beautiful. I don't think you can go anywhere else in the world to find the kind of diversity that you find here. That's our greatest strength.
Yeah, people all around the world try to come here.
That's right. That's right, Cathy.
Yeah. And one thing you mentioned how when you came here, it's so all congested, and maybe because of the protest. I was at the protest this afternoon. Yeah. So one thing I think a lot of our audience would be concerned actually is seeing a lot of actually quite a few socialism, communism organizations there. They're really trying to reach out to the people, saying, "Hey, we have a solution for you in America." So, like for example, our audience, many of them came from mainland China. They have lived under the socialism, communism system, and they know how life is really like. Yeah, so they would be very concerned seeing that. So, just wondering, what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, look, we live in a representative democracy here, right? So I would say by no stretch of the imagination are we, communists by any means, right? We elect people that represent our values, and they're the ones who go to make policies and vote on issues that impact us. But I think, with every government, just like with every individual, there's good and there's bad, right? You get a mix of it all. So we should take the best of what we got in our representative republic, in our representative democracy, look around the world and see what's the good things that they're doing, bring it back to our country. I think that's how we should approach it, rather than just saying everything done in this particular country is wrong, because nothing in this world is just black and white besides a newspaper, right? Or a zebra. Something like that. But the things that impact us as human beings, most of it's in the gray area.
Yeah. And okay. Yeah. So lastly, any other things you would like to say to our audience?
Yeah, I just want to say how exciting it is to be here at the 2024 Democratic National Convention. We are here. We're about to make history, right? To be able to nominate the first female, South Asian, Jamaican, Black woman to be the President of the United States, along with, of course, Kamala Harris, and then along with Governor Tim Walz, who's going to be the Vice President. This is a really historic moment, and I know we tell people you have to vote this election because it's a really important election, but I want to tell every one of your listeners, every election is important. Right? You need that seat at the table. You need to elect people that are going to represent your values. And I believe that's why so many of us are here at the DNC, to be able to elect the next or to nominate the next president and vice president of the United States that reflects our values.
All right. Thank you, Aruna.
Thank you very much, Cathy.